Welcome everybody to the Spotlight stage for our last Spotlight presentation of today. Tomorrow we'll have a whole new agenda starting at 10:45 again, so please join us for some more Spotlight presenters and demonstrations and everything tomorrow. This last one I think is the best one. One of my favorite people in the world is presenting. Marinella Profi, she's a prolific AI person that goes around the world speaking about AI for quite some time. Maybe you've seen or heard of her. And with her is David Vike, senior software developer engineer. And we heard about digital twins. Now we're going to hear about agents. So between the two of them, you can pick your poison, whichever one you want. So with that, further ado, I'll turn it over to Marinella.
Hi, everyone. Well, thank you so much for just sticking around. And this is the last session of the day. David and I are going to talk about AI agents. And we are really excited about this session. I'm really excited about this session. We have prepared some demo material for you to really see how we are enabling organizations to design, implement, and orchestrate AI agents. One of the reasons I love AI agents is not because they represent a tremendously exciting opportunity for both individuals and organizations to leverage AI as a force multiplier, because now we don't have AI that just predicts or classifies or detects, but it goes beyond that because it can act and make decisions. But I also love AI agents because I see every technology as the next evolution of the previous ones, right? And to me, AI agents are really the integration of everything that as humanity we have been building so far. Think about analytics, think about RPA, think about LLMs, right? Individually, all these components were great, but they had some limitations. And so with AI agents, we are combining them now all together, integrating to have a new type of AI that has agency. So I talked about large language models. They're great. I don't remember anymore my life how it was before ChatGPT at this point. I don't know about you, even though it was like not even 3 years ago. But pretty soon we noticed some limitations of LLMs. They are passive, right? They cannot access your data. They don't follow business rules. They cannot act. So for example, you can ask ChatGPT, hey, write an email for me to ask Marinella for a coffee meeting. He'll do it, but they'll do it. But if you ask ChatGPT, when is my next meeting with Marinella, it's going to be like, I don't know, because I don't have access to your calendar, for example. And that's where we start having agentic systems, because they can access other applications, understand what is the best application to activate and use in that moment to take an action and make a decision. And so that is what really created a huge shift from LLMs to AI agents, where now we have active assistant. They can take actions, they iterate to changing environments, and they execute complex tasks. So this is great. Now, I love the potential of AI agents to help me as an individual, and I'm sure all of you, or maybe some of you, have already or are thinking about building your own agents for many, many tasks, and there is a lot of tools out there available to build agents. The reality is that talking to customers for a successful and enterprise application and implementation of AI agents, fully autonomous systems, and maybe some of you will disagree with me, we can talk about it later, but fully autonomous systems and LLM-based only agents fall short. They will fall short. They are already falling short when we talk about enterprise application. And the reason is because if you're an organization, you need more than full autonomy. You need things like, how was the decision made and why? So you need decision traceability, decision explainability. You need to be able to mitigate the risk and have a control and intervene if an agent does something wrong, right, for accountability. And you need governance and you need auditability. So you need the ability to say, is my agent being ethical? Is my agent being aligned with my regulatory environment? And so in short, agents, and you can quote me on this because I know that there is not still a definition of agents out there in the market, but as they're often conceptualized today as fully autonomous magic wizard solving your problems of the organizations, LLM-based only, they struggle in the enterprise environment. So Let's see some use cases, and I'll hand it over to David to show why a fully autonomous LLM-based only system falls short in the enterprise.
And I think the interesting piece here is that none of these use cases are particularly new, right? If you look at them, you probably say, yeah, we've been doing that. We even use AI within these systems. So why should we be introducing LLMs into these new use cases? How can they help us get more out of something like customer service interactions with our people and not just have the next NBO system? But once we start to introduce LLMs into this and have it, for example, write automatic emails to our customers, we are also introducing the fact that LLMs are probabilistic in nature, meaning when you ask the same question twice, you are probably getting two different answers, right? So you need to have some sort of accountability in these systems and figure out where do you want to have the human in the loop and where are you fine with handing over that degree of autonomy to the LLMs, and where maybe a decision needs to be reached by a classical machine learning model. So if we were to apply for a loan, we don't want an LLM to just make some random decision, right? Even if we put really, 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 really in our prompt, as we heard this morning, but we might want to use a classical model to do that decision for us. And when we think about this with LLMs, we also have more topics that just come up as we use them, because we have been talking about data quality for years, but we have been doing that for tabular data. Now we are introducing unstructured data like tasks that's coming into our organization where there's a lot of noise, duplication, where people might repeat themselves, they might have PII data in their text that they send to us, right? And we need to really mitigate those issues. And we also have the fact that when you are looking at LLMs, they are trained on the internet. So we have a lack of understanding what went actually into their training material. And as a result of that, that might be bias in there, or even it might recommend a competitor over your own product, and you don't want the LLM to do that. So how do we help with that?
So, and that's exactly why at SAS we see the future of AI lying in agents that are at relevance and are able to make context-aware, context-driven decision, collaborate with human, have determinism, human in the loop, and governance in the process of how we design agents. And that is exactly what we are enabling today. And these are just some of the use cases that we are exploring, because we're not really, I mentioned this in the beginning, right? Agents are not magic wizards, so you don't really want, and there is no value in having a really good agent that sounds like a philosopher or can generate 100 poems for you or can really sound cool. You actually, in an enterprise context, you need an agent that is really, really good in doing the boring things that no one wants to do, the repetitive things, and you want it to do in a really precise way. And so for enterprise context, we're actually looking, when we think about agentic application, we're looking at use cases like help me process insurance claims, help me resolve customer churn, help me handle sensitive scoring cases or maintenance schedules for supply chain, or help me help my data scientists build machine learning pipelines. We're going to see a live demo in a little bit on how with intelligent decisioning you can design, deploy, implement, govern AI and the AI agent and agentic workflows and orchestrate the entire process in a little bit. But before we go there, this is how we are approaching it, right? So I mentioned this before, human AI balance in the loop, the decisioning, accurate decision, and integration of LLMs with deterministic and business guardrails, as well as embedded governance mechanisms. Whoa, this sounds such a busy slide. Well, that's because these are all the capabilities that with SAS Viya we provide today for you to design, build, implement, govern, and orchestrate AI agents for any use case and agentic workflows at scale with trust and confidence. Let me unpack it a little bit because it's a very busy slide, and then we'll dive into a demo where you will see this all in action. So we're providing all the building blocks. Intelligent decisioning is a very comprehensive, unified, and structured and secured environment that allows you to build agents that, by integrating and drag and dropping any LLM you want, business guardrails, business rules, deterministic, analytical, trusted models, alongside with human in the loop. So you have the ability to integrate escalation mechanisms when you want the human to intervene or when you want to have some sort of iteration or retrieval mechanisms. Second, we mentioned this before, in the design environment, you have the ability to bring the human in the loop and to scale it, right? So having agent really being a spectrum of AI autonomy and human involvement, not just fully autonomous people, systems, and we'll see that in the demo as well. We're allowing the deployment of AI agent as simple containers. You're not dependent on the platform. You take it, you wrap the agentic workflow, and you deploy it as a container wherever you want it. Flexible, easy to use, not dependent on our technology or any technology, because this is also really important where you are building agents. And last but not least, built-in mechanisms provided for you with governance, explainability, lineage, auditability, and governance mechanisms for LLMs, governance, data security, and protection mechanisms. Okay, I've talked a lot. Let's dive into the demo. David, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, thank you. So I hope you all saw this dashboard this morning already, showcasing all the different alerts that we have going on here, almost 2,000 escalations we need to take care of. And now we want to drill in how these agents came to these conclusions and also enhance these agents to further develop them. So let's drill into our first customer here, Cheryl, that we will see to understand why she was denied and maybe understand why that was the case.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back. 1 second. Okay. Should be going now. Give it a couple seconds. Yep.
Okay.
Should be going now soon. Let's see.
We are there in a second.
Wow.
So
I'm prepared for that.
let's. We're going to be double-clicking into Cheryl here. There we go. And we get more detailed information about her, right, to help us understand on our own. Or we can talk to the agent that made the decision to help us dive deeper on the specific piece that has been going on. So here we get an explanation in text form that was generated by the LLM, but is driven by a machine learning model from SAS that is fully explainable, not on the individual case alone, but also on a broader space through our model cards that help you understand, is the model actually fair? Was the training data behind that not biased, as we talked about with the LLMs? And then also, where is it being used within our organization? In which context am I allowed to use this model? What's the data that was trained on, right? So if someone from auditing comes in, you have the full explainability behind this model available to you at your fingertips and can make sure that it performs over time as well. But let's dig into the actual decision that was behind this. And what we're seeing here is our path analysis that Intelligent Decisioning just provides us out of the box that helps us understand how different customers flow through these decision pieces. And this is critical when you're building your agents to identify issues in the behavior of the LLMs where you might want to dig in. So we have here guardrails that are built with SAS text analytics to identify PII data or even detect bias and toxic answers in the responses of these models to help us then escalate them towards human needs, or to put them into further processing as it is recommended by the business unit that developed this flow. So let's dig into that flow a bit more and extend it. For this, we are starting off with our loan model at the top here, right? And then we have these two text analytics models that help us remove personal identifiable information from any text before we send it to the LLM. And then we have this guardrail to detect bias. And if we have detected bias, we are jumping into another agent that reprompts the LLM, makes it aware of its bias it had, and regenerate that response. If that's still wrong, we're passing that out to a human. If not, we are now wanting to add a next best offer agent that a different unit built for us, but we can still understand what's going on in there. And as that unit enhances this agent, we are automatically participating on these enhancements within our decision. and can keep evolving and building our model as we need it. And then we might be having the trouble that someone now wants us to explain to them what's behind this model. So Marinella, maybe you have more contact with auditing departments than me?
Yes, so I want to ask my agent, I need to show a proof to my audit department about what the hell happened behind the scenes about this agent, how is it made, what type of decisions it creates. And so the system says, sure, go ahead and I can generate a document for you. And so just like that, the agentic environment generated a document that has all the information about this agent and agentic workflows and multi-agent system like we saw in this case, because we had the multi-agent system operating here, with all the information that you need to provide and explain what type of agents you use, what type of models, what type of tools, what types of LLMs, who created it, how do we get to a decision, and so in a PDF format, in this case, that you can easily share. And last but not least, if I want to go ahead and ask, show me how you can, what are the data sets that were used for this? And in this case, the agent is going to direct me to a full lineage. This is generated out of the box within SAS Viya, and it really shows you, here is our AI agent design environment, intelligent decisioning. What are all the steps that happened before actually going into our agentic design environment? So what data sets we accessed, from which databases and where, what type of ETL processes and data pre-processing we performed on those data to analyze it before we tuned them for model training. And then which models did we compare to make that loan approval or denial decisions, and how was the tournament created, and how was the tournament realized? So then the model cards, what are the real-time performances that my models are having in real time in terms of fairness, bias assessment, interpretability reports, and then all the way up to the lineage on our agentic workflow. So this is the true power of agentic AI made ready for the enterprises, not full autonomy hype that is being sold out there. And you can, again, quote me on this. So to summarize here, with SAS Viya, we are allowing you an intelligent decisioning to build, deploy, and orchestrate AI agents, and AI that doesn't just make decisions for you, it defends them, it explains them, because the true power of AI agents is not in the full autonomy and not controlled behavior that these systems are promising us to have. It's in the ability to use them as collaborative assistants with trust and confidence for you to really bring value to your organization. So we have a booth. David and I are going to be hanging around there for the next couple of hours. So if you are thinking about experiments that your organization wants to do with agents, or use cases that you have in mind, come talk to us. We can also deep dive more into this demo, other demos that we have. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. This was the best session, wasn't it?
Incredibile, excelente, e informativo. Listening to an Italian and a German makes me want to have either wine or beer, and the good news is that's coming up soon. So thank you guys again for coming to the Spotlight stage, and thank you to our presenters.